This is former French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who as of tomorrow will become the first French president to serve a prison sentence since World War II. And this is a decades-long corruption case that his supporters will tell you is a witch hunt and a grave moment for French democracy because he's being sent to prison despite being found not guilty of receiving or spending corrupt money. So what was he found guilty of, actually? He was found guilty, and therefore this was proven in a court of law, of soliciting money for his presidential campaign from Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, with witnesses saying that this was in exchange of helping launder Gaddafi's image on the world stage and with world leaders. And the middleman between Sarkozy and Gaddafi says Sarkozy's campaign was largely funded by Libya, but that's the part that they weren't able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and therefore he wasn't found guilty on those specific charges. However, he was found guilty in a separate trial of exceeding campaign funding limits in that very same campaign and hiring a PR firm to help hide the fact that he overspent in that campaign. In other words, we know he asked Gaddafi for money. The middleman in that deal says the money funded his campaign, but that part is unproven. However, he just happened to have way too much money to spend on that campaign. So much money that he had to hire a PR firm to hide how much money he spent on it. We just don't know for sure where specifically all of that extra money came from. I'm sure it was totally legit. That being said, campaign finance violations are already a crime even if the money isn't dirty, and soliciting money from a foreign dictator in exchange for political favors is pretty much the definition of corruption, and it's already a crime even if the money never actually makes it to your account. But the other criticism Sarkozy supporters have for this ruling is that this was a witch hunt. Prosecutors and judges had it out for Sarkozy. They spent years going after him for campaign finance violations and the solicitation of corrupt money, while previous presidents got off easy. And there might be something to this criticism. Sarkozy had a very contentious relationship with the judiciary while in office, constantly criticizing for what he saw as them not doing their jobs. And the judiciary didn't like that. In fact, it was discovered that at the headquarters of the biggest magistrates' trade union in the country, there was a wall of assholes where they put up dozens of photos of people they didn't like and who criticized them, including Sarkozy. And that did really happen, and it's not the greatest indicator of blind justice. But at the same time, blind justice doesn't and shouldn't mean turning a blind eye to a presidential candidate seeking corrupt money from a foreign dictator.